Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to do something that might feel a little uncomfortable.
A little. I'd say very uncomfortable.
Yeah, fair enough. We are basically going to attack one of the most, sacred cows in our entire culture.
Oh, yeah.
Because from the time you're in kindergarten, right up through corporate HR training, you were told one thing over and over again, and that
Be
is
balanced.
exactly, find the middle ground. Don't be extreme.
The famous golden mean. I mean, it's basically the operating system for modern life.
It really is. Moderation in all things. If you work too hard, you're a workaholic. But if you work too little, you're lazy.
So you aim for the middle.
Right. If you save all your money, you're a miser. But if you spend it all, you're reckless. So, you save a quote-unquote moderate amount.
Because it feels safe.
It feels right.
Right.
But we have a stack of sources today, primarily revolving around the work of Nassim Nicholas Taleb, and it argues that this middle ground is actually the most dangerous place you can possibly be.
Yeah. It's a bit like walking down the middle of a highway because you don't want to commit to the sidewalk on either side.
Oh, man.
I mean, it feels balanced right up until the moment a semi-truck flattens you.
Ugh, that is a terrifying image to start with, but it really captures the vibe of this deep dive perfectly.
It does.
We're looking at the concept of the barbell strategy and a very provocative section of the research titled Never Marry the Rock Star.
Which I'm sure will ruffle some feathers.
Yeah.
But just to set the stage here, we aren't just trying to be contrarian for the sake of it,
No, not at all.
The argument we're unpacking today is mathematical. It's really about the nature of risk. The core idea is that the middle is where sucker games happen.
Right.
Because it's where risks are opaque, they're hard to calculate, and when they hit, they're usually catastrophic.
So if the middle is the kill zone, what's the alternative?
The alternative is the barbell. It's a strategy of actually embracing extremes to achieve antifragility.
I want to pause on that word for a second. Antifragility. We've touched on it before, but it's crucial for today. It's not the same as resilience, right?
No, and people confuse them all the time. Think of a package you're shipping. If you write fragile on it, it means handle with care, right? Because you drop it, it breaks.
Right, obviously.
If you have a package that is resilient or robust, you can drop it, and it just stays the same. It doesn't break, but it doesn't get better. It just survives.
Like a rock. You kick a rock, it's still a rock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anti-fragile is a package that says, please drop me.
Uh-huh.
No, really.
Yeah?
It's something that gets better when you stress it.
Yeah.
It benefits from volatility. And the argument today is that you absolutely cannot be anti-fragile if you are stuck in the middle.
Yeah?
You have to be at the edges.
Okay. Please drop me. I
So-
like that. But before we get to the solution, the barbell itself, we really have to understand the problem. Why is the middle so dangerous?
Yeah.
The source material starts with a concept that, honestly, it took me a minute to wrap my head around. Path dependence.
Path dependence. I know, it sounds like jargon you'd hear in a boring economics lecture,
Totally.
but it's actually a matter of life and death.
It really is. The source defines it super simply. The order of events matters. You can't just look at the destination. You have to look at the route.
Yeah, let's look at the standard way we're taught to think. In conventional finance or economics, we just look at averages or totals.
Right.
If you make $1 million over 10 years, the spreadsheet just says plus 1 million. It doesn't care if you made 100 grand every single year or if you lost money for 9 years and made it all back in the 10th.
But the human being living that life cares.
They care immensely. Past dependence says you cannot separate the result from the sequence. The source gives a really visceral example to prove this. It involves a kidney stone operation.
Oh, man. This one made me wince when I read it.
Walk us through it.
Okay, so imagine you have a kidney stone. You need two things. You need a surgery to remove it.
Yeah.
And you need anesthesia to numb the pain.
2 components.
Got it. Right. Now, in a path-independent world where only the totals matter, it wouldn't matter what order you get them in. You just need one surgery and one anesthesia by the end of the day.
So, scenario A. You
Yeah.
get the anesthesia, you fall asleep, the doctor operates, you wake up, the stone is gone.
That is a medical procedure. That is civilization working exactly as intended.
Now, scenario B, same components, but we switch the path. You get the surgery first.
Which means they are cutting into you while you are wide awake.
And then, after the screaming stops and the trauma is completely inflicted, they give you the anesthesia.
That's not a medical procedure. That's a war crime. That is a literal torture session.
But if you look at the average of the day or the inventory list at the hospital, it's identical. One patient, one surgery, one dose of drugs.
Wow.
Path dependence teaches us that the average is a lie. The sequence determines whether you're healed or tortured.
There's a lighter example in the notes, too, for those who are squeamish about the surgery thing. It's about dinner.
Right. Imagine a nice dinner. Tomato soup, then a main course, then dessert and coffee. A lovely evening.
Sounds great.
Now reverse the path. Eat the dessert and drink the coffee. Then eat the steak. Then finally, slurp down the tomato soup.
It's gross. You ruin your appetite. The flavors completely clash. You probably feel sick.
But the calorie count is exactly the same. The nutritional content is identical. The middle or the total is the same.
Yeah.
But the experience is fundamentally broken.
So applying this to real life, like to business, to our careers, the source argues that we focus way too much on the destination, the BMW, the retirement fund, and we ignore the path. Like, can I survive long enough to get there?
Precisely. And this brings us to the ratchet effect. Fragility is like a ratchet. It clicks forward, but it can't click back.
Right.
If you break a glass vase, you can't unbreak it. Damage is often completely irreversible.
This is where the critique of modern businessmen comes in. They want to maximize profits. They want efficiency.
They want to get to the destination faster. But they forget that survival is a prerequisite for success. The source uses the analogy of driving in New York City.
I love this because I've been in cabs in NYC where I felt this viscerally.
Right. Imagine you want to get from uptown to downtown. You could drive 250 miles per hour.
Technically, that would get me there very fast.
The nominal speed is incredible. You are the fastest driver on the road for about 4 seconds.
And then I'm a fireball.
Then you crash. And because you crashed, your effective speed is 0. You never arrived.
This is the danger of optimizing for the middle or for efficiency without looking at the extremes. If you drive at a moderate 80 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, you might feel efficient, but your risk of ruin of the crash skyrockets.
And once you crash, the game is over. This is actually the most important concept in probability that almost nobody understands. The difference between ensemble probability and time probability.
Whoa, okay. Ensemble probability. That sounds like we're back in a physics classroom. Let's break that down.
It's actually simple. And it explains why casinos make money and gamblers go broke. Imagine 2 scenarios. Scenario 1. We take 100 different people and send them to a casino for one night.
Okay. 100 people, some win, some lose.
Right. Maybe person number 28 goes bust and loses absolutely everything. Does that affect person number 29?
No, they're separate people.
Exactly. So if you look at the ensemble, the group, the casino is fine, the system is stable, the average return is highly predictable.
Okay.
Now, scenario 2. We don't take 100 people. We take one person, let's call him Cousin Eddie, and we send him to the casino 100 nights in a row.
The situation changes.
It changes completely. Because in the first scenario, if person 28 goes bust, person 29 is still playing. In the second scenario, if Cousin Eddie goes bust on day 28.
He can't play on day 29. He's broke. He's out of the game.
Exactly. He hits an absorbing barrier. Ruin. The probability of him surviving 100 days is drastically lower than the probability of a group surviving one day.
Real life is like Cousin Eddie. You only have one life. You are living through time. You are not a statistic in a group.
So if I have a strategy that gives me a great return on average, but has a 1% risk of total ruin,
then over time, your probability of ruin approaches 100%. You will crash. It's not a matter of if, but when. And this is exactly why the middle is dangerous. Middle-of-the-road strategies often hide these 1% risks. You think you're safe because you're doing what everyone else is doing, but you're actually driving 250 miles per hour toward a brick wall.
So survival isn't just nice to have, it's the foundation. To buy the BMW, you must first not die.
To succeed, you must first survive. It sounds tautological, but look at how many companies or investors blow up because they leverage themselves to the hilt to grow fast, just completely ignoring the risk of the crash. Okay, so we've established that the path matters, that ruin is irreversible, and that we need to prioritize survival above all else. This brings us to the solution. The barbell.
The barbell.
I want everyone listening to visualize a literal barbell at the gym. You've got a big iron plate on the left, a big iron plate on the right, and in the middle, a long, thin, completely empty steel bar.
That is the model for your life. You want weight at the extremes and nothing in the middle.
Meaning you want to be hyper-conservative in some areas and hyper-aggressive in others.
Yes, you combine 2 extremes to create a balance, rather than trying to find the balance in the center.
I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. This sounds exhausting and also a little crazy. Why is the middle so bad? Why can't I just be moderately risky? Why can't I just invest in a nice balanced index fund and have a nice balanced career?
Because the middle is where the measurement errors happen. It's the turkey problem.
The turkey problem.
Imagine you are a turkey. You're fed every single day by the farmer. Every day the farmer comes out, gives you grain, treats you nicely.
Life is good. The data says the farmer loves me.
If you're a moderate turkey analyst, you look at the data. You say, look at this chart. Food is increasing. Safety is high. My confidence level is 99%. You are very comfortable in the middle.
And
then it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
The farmer comes out, but he doesn't have grain. He has an axe.
the black swan.
The black swan. The middle gave you a completely false sense of security. You thought you understood the risk, but you didn't. The barbell strategy is about admitting, I don't know when Thanksgiving is coming. I don't know when the market will crash. I don't know when my industry will change.
So instead of trying to predict it, you prepare for it.
You cap your downside. On one end of the barbell, you are paranoid. You assume the axe is coming. You keep 90% of your life in total safety. But on the other end, you take wild risks because you know you can survive them.
There's a metaphor in the notes that I think explains why we shouldn't mix these things. The steak and cake analogy, this really stuck with me.
It's a great culinary lesson. Imagine you go to a top-tier restaurant. The main course arrives. It's a grass-fed minute steak.
Beautiful.
It's rare, juicy, salty. Maybe you have a glass of heavy tannic Malbec wine with it. It's a primal, savory experience.
Okay, I'm getting hungry.
Then for dessert, the waiter brings out a goat cheesecake. It's sweet, creamy, delicate. And you pair it with a muscat wine, floral, sugary.
Two distinct, perfect experiences, the savory and the sweet.
Now imagine the middle ground chef. He says, well, the customer likes the steak and they like the cake, so let's find the average.
Oh, no.
He takes the steak, the Malbec, the cheesecake, and the muscat. He throws them all into a high-speed blender. He hits puree.
And he serves you a brown, lukewarm sludge?
That is the golden mean.
Yeah.
That is compromised. You've destroyed the distinct value of the savory and the distinct value of the sweet to create a corrupted mash.
That is disgusting, but it's a perfect description of how so many of us live. We have jobs that are kind of safe, but kind of stressful. We have investments that are kind of growing, but kind of risky. We are living in the sludge.
Exactly. The barbell says, eat the steak, then eat the cake. Don't blend them. Be safe. Then be risky. Don't be moderately risky.
Let's apply this to something high stakes, flying.
Yes, this is the pilot versus flight attendant analogy.
If I'm getting on a plane, I definitely don't want a balanced crew.
No. Imagine a pilot who is cautiously optimistic. He says, well, there might be ice on the wings, but statistically it's probably fine. Let's be moderate.
I am getting off that plane immediately.
You want a barbell. You want the flight attendants to be on the optimistic end. You want them smiling, serving drinks, assuming everything is great. That's the upside of the experience.
The pilot.
You want the pilot to be the most negative, paranoid, pessimistic person on Earth. You want them checking every dial twice. You want them to assume the engine will fail. You want them to have zero tolerance for risk.
So you separate the roles. Extreme optimism in the cabin, extreme paranoia in the cockpit.
Right. If you mix them, if the pilot is chilling out and the flight attendants are screaming in panic, you have a disaster.
Okay, I think we have the theory down. Avoid the middle, keep the extremes separate, use paranoia to survive, and risk to win. Let's move this into the real world. Let's talk about money.
Application 1, finance. This is where Taleb made his name, and it's where the barbell is most mathematically clear.
The source refers to the standard way people invest as vulgar finance.
Vulgar meaning common, unrefined. It's what your bank manager or standard financial advisor tells you. Put your money in a diversified portfolio of medium-risk securities.
The classic 60-40 portfolio. 60% stocks, 40% bonds.
It sounds reasonable. It sounds like the golden mean. But here's the trap. You are 100% exposed to a systemic crisis.
Explain that.
If the stock market crashes, like in 2008 or 1929, you lose money. If interest rates spike and bonds crash, you lose money. If the whole system freezes up, you can lose 40–50% of your wealth overnight.
And if you're retired or if you need that money, you are ruined. You hit that absorbing barrier we talked about with Cousin Eddie.
Exactly. You have a risk of ruin.
So paint the picture of the barbell portfolio. How does it fix this?
It looks radical. The source suggests something like this. You take 90% of your money, the vast majority, and you put it in something that cannot lose money.
Cannot is a strong word.
We're talking treasury bills, inflation-protected securities, or even just hard cash in a vault. The goal of this 90% is not to make you rich. It's to ensure that no matter what happens, war, plague, market collapse, you still have 90% of your money. You could buy groceries, you have a house.
That's the paranoid pilot.
That's the pilot. Now, you have 10% left. What do? You don't buy a mutual fund. You go crazy.
You become the rock star.
You buy highly speculative options. You invest in a crazy startup. You buy something that costs pennies but could be worth millions if a specific event happens.
Let's look at the math of the worst-case scenario here.
Worst case, the world doesn't change. Your speculative bets go to zero. They're completely worthless.
So I lost my 10%.
You lost 10%. You still have 90%. You are not ruined. You sleep well at night.
But the upside.
If that 10% hits, because these are high leverage bets, it could go up 1,000% or 10,000%. That small slice could double your entire net worth.
So you've capped your downside. You can't lose more than 10%, but your upside is completely uncapped.
Exactly. Compare that to the moderate investor. In a crash, they can lose 50%. In a boom, they make 8%. They have uncapped downside and limited upside. The barbell flips it. Capped downside, unlimited upside.
It reminds me of that Ray Dalio rule mentioned in the notes.
Ray Dalio, one of the most successful investors in history, he says, make sure that the probability of the unacceptable, i.e. the risk of ruin, is nil.
Nil.
Zero.
Not low. Zero.
And there's a Yiddish proverb that sums this up beautifully. Provide for the worst, the best can take care of itself.
I love that. Think about how most people live. They buy a warranty for their toaster, a $20 risk, but they have their entire life savings in the stock market, a $500,000 risk. They insure the small stuff and ignore the ruinous stuff. The barbell says, don't worry about the toaster, worry about the ruin. Okay, but not everyone has a massive portfolio to manage. What about our jobs? This is where I think the barbell gets really interesting. The writer's dilemma.
This is near and dear to my heart. The source talks about literature, but it applies to any creative field. Acting, painting, coding, startups.
It's a high-risk career. Most writers starve.
Right. So how do you solve this starvation problem? The middle solution is the most common. You try to find a job that is sort of writing.
You become a journalist. You become a copywriter. You become an academic.
You try to blend the steak and the cake. You say, I'll write for the newspaper during the day to pay the bills, and I'll write my novel at night.
Why does the source say this fails?
Because the day job corrupts the night job. If you're a journalist, you are in the word game. You have to please an editor. You have to worry about what the audience thinks. You have to write in a certain middle-brow style.
You're using the exact same creative muscles for the job as you are for the art.
And you're exhausted. You come home drained. Worse, you start to self-censor. You think, if I write this crazy scene in my novel, will it hurt my chances of getting a promotion at the newspaper? You become a prisoner.
So what's the barbell?
The sinecure.
A great word. A job that requires little work or emotional investment but pays a steady salary.
Or, more importantly, a job that is completely orthogonal, totally unrelated to your art. You want a job that uses a totally different part of your brain.
The source lists some legends who did this.
Kafka.
The guy who wrote about oppressive nightmare bureaucracies.
He worked at an insurance company. He was a bureaucrat. It was boring. It was repetitive. But at 5:00 p.m., he was done. His brain wasn't tired from creating. It was just tired from paperwork.
Yeah.
He could go home and write the weirdest, most risky stuff imaginable because his paycheck didn't depend on his writing being popular.
Then there's Spinoza.
Baruch Spinoza, one of the most important philosophers of the Enlightenment, radical ideas. He questioned the nature of God and the universe. How did he pay the bills?
He was a lens maker.
He sat in a dusty room, grinding glass for microscopes and telescopes.
Yeah.
It's manual labor.
Mm.
It's technical. It's boring. But it's safe.
And it kept his philosophy pure.
Exactly. If he had been a professor at a university, he would have had to play politics. He would have had to teach the approved curriculum. But because he made his money from lenses, he could tell the university to shove it. He had FU money. Even if it wasn't a lot of money, it was independent money.
And Trollope worked at the post office.
Stendhal and Paul Claudel were diplomats. In the 19th century, being a diplomat was often a lazy job. You go to cocktail parties, you sign some papers. It left the mind completely free.
So for you listening, maybe you're an aspiring musician. The advice here isn't get a job in the music industry.
No, that's the trap. If you work in the music industry, you'll get sick of music. You'll hate the commercial side of it. The advice is go be a carpenter. Go be a coder for a boring bank. Do something that pays the bills and leaves your music soul untouched.
Be a banker by day, a rock star by night. There's another version of this for careers called the serial barbell. This isn't doing two things at once. It's doing two things in sequence.
Right. If you can't handle the split focus, you split your time. The example given is a friend of the author who was a book editor.
Very safe job.
He did it for 10 years. He saved his money. He built a safety net. That's the 90%. Then he quit. He took a massive risk to write or start a business.
And if he failed?
He could go back to being an editor. He had the trade. He didn't burn the bridge.
And Simonon, the novelist, this stat blew my mind. He wrote over 200 novels.
The man was a machine, but he wasn't a moderate machine. He didn't write for 4 hours a day, every day, forever.
What's his schedule?
He worked like a maniac for 60 days a year.
Yeah.
Just total immersion. Writing.
And the other 300 days?
He did nothing. He hung out. He traveled. He recovered.
See, that sounds amazing, but most of us feel guilty if we aren't productive every single day.
That guilt is the curse of the middle. We do medium work all year round. We are constantly checking email, constantly kind of working. Simonon avoided the sludge. Extreme work. Extreme rest.
I think I need to adopt the Simonon schedule. Let's pitch that to the producers.
Uh-huh. Good luck with that.
All right, let's move to the section of the outline that had me raising my eyebrows. Application 3, biology and sociology.
Yes. This is the section titled, Never Marry the Rock Star.
Now, disclaimer time. We are discussing evolutionary psychology and theories from the text. We are not endorsing anything, nor are we telling you to go out and have an affair.
Please do not cite this deep dive in divorce court. We are analyzing the rock star versus accountant dynamic as a biological barbell.
So what's the theory?
The theory is that biological systems, specifically regarding mating, also face a trade-off between stability and volatility.
We want safety, but we also want quality.
We want good genes, we want fitness, we want excitement.
So enter the two archetypes.
First, you have the accountant.
Sorry to all the actual accountants listening.
We're using it as a metaphor. The accountant represents the 90% side of the barbell. He is stable. He shows up. He pays the mortgage. He is a good father. He is reliable.
Odd.
But evolutionarily speaking, he might be boring. He might not have the high-risk, high-reward genetic profile that suggests dominance or extreme fitness.
Enter the rock star.
The rock star is the 10%. He's wild, he's creative, he has swagger, he has the good genes in terms of raw biological appeal. But
you can't rely on him.
If you marry the rock star, you are taking a massive risk.
Yeah.
He might leave, he might spend all the money, he might crash the car. He is highly volatile.
So the middle approach, the blended smoothie, would be to try and find a guy who is kind of a rock star and kind of an accountant.
And good luck with that. They're exceedingly rare.
Wow.
So what does nature do? The text points to monogamous birds.
To birds.
Yes. Studies of monogamous birds often show a high rate of, let's call it, extra pair paternity. The female bird marries the accountant. She builds the nest with him. He helps feed the chicks. That's the safety. But she sneaks off and mates with the local rock star bird, the one with the brightest feathers or the loudest song.
So the chicks get the rock star genes, but they get the accountant's parenting.
It's a ruthless barbell strategy. Cap downside, a stable nest, unlimited upside, the best genes.
The source does mention that maybe this isn't just about genes, maybe it's just about fun.
A stable life, plus excitement. But again, the logic holds. You separate the stability from the volatility. You don't try to get everything from one moderate source.
It's fascinating and a little cynical, but it shows how universal this pattern really is. Let's pivot to a safer application of this. Health.
Yes, the body barbell. This is something you can apply today without wrecking your marriage.
I see people at the gym all the time. They get on the elliptical or the treadmill, they put it on level 5, and they jog for 45 minutes while reading a magazine.
That is the middle. It's chronic, moderate stress. The text argues that this is actually damaging. It wears down your joints, it spikes cortisol, the stress hormone, for long periods, but it's not intense enough to trigger a massive adaptive response.
It's junk miles.
Think about our ancestors. Hunter-gatherers. What did their day look like?
Lots of walking.
Very low intensity. Effortless walking. That's the 90%.
And then
A lion jumps out.
sprint.
Or they have to lift a heavy rock. Or fight. Maximum intensity. 100% effort for 30 seconds.
And then back to walking.
Exactly. They didn't jog for an hour. They walked or they sprinted. The barbell workout is walk a lot for safety and recovery, and lift heavy or sprint for extreme stress. Skip the middle entirely.
So go for a walk or go try to lift a car, don't jog.
Basically, you want to shock the system to make it grow, which is antifragility, or let it recover. The middle ground of medium stress just grinds you down.
There's an alcohol application here too, from Rory Sutherland.
Ah, yes. The liver barbell.
Usually the doctor says, to be healthy, limit yourself to 2 glasses of wine a day.
Moderate daily consumption. That's the standard advice.
But Sutherland asks, is that actually how the body works?
He suggests that maybe the liver needs recovery time. Constant low-level dripping of toxins might be worse than a shock followed by rest.
So his barbell is, don't drink at all for 3 or 4 days a week.
Total abstinence. Let the liver heal. Give it a vacation. That's the safety.
And on the other 3 days?
Have a party. Drink the bottle. Responsibly, of course. But the point is the structure. 0000550, not 2222222.
It's the Simenon writing schedule applied to drinking.
Exactly. Concentration of stressors followed by concentration of recovery.
This theme of what to be paranoid about comes up with the author's personal rules, too. He talks about smoking.
This is a crucial distinction. The author takes lots of financial risks. He takes social risks, but he is paranoid about terminal risks.
Smoking. Sugar. Motorcycles.
Why? Because those things have cumulative ruin. Smoking one cigarette won't kill you, but the path dependence of smoking leads to ruin. Riding a motorcycle is fun, but one mistake is terminal.
So his rule is, if the downside is death or permanent injury, be 100% paranoid. If the downside is embarrassment or losing a little money, go wild.
Most people are the exact opposite. They smoke, risking death, but are afraid to ask for a raise, risking embarrassment. That's a completely broken barbell.
Let's scale this up. We've done individuals. Now let's talk about society. Application 4, social policy.
This creates a very strange political stance. It's neither left nor right. It's a barbell.
The outline says, protect the weak versus the middle. Again, we are reporting the text here, not taking sides.
The argument is we should have a massive safety net for the very weak, the people who cannot care for themselves.
That sounds like a left-wing or socialist idea.
But on the other end, we should let the strong, the entrepreneurs, the inventors, do whatever they want. Let them take massive risks. Let them get rich. Let them go bust.
That sounds like a libertarian idea.
Exactly. It's a libertarian socialist barbell. Protect the bottom, unleash the top.
But who gets left out?
The middle class. Or specifically, the middle class rent seekers.
The bureaucrats. The managers.
The source argues that when you help the middle class consolidate privilege, you block evolution. You create a static society where people get paid for pushing paper.
There's a historical example from the UK that explains this.
Yes. The source looks at the glory days of the British Empire. It was a barbell society.
Who are the two ends?
On one end, you had the adventurers. These are the crazy people, the traders, the pirates, the explorers, the tinkers. They went out, took insane risks, died in shipwrecks, or came back unimaginably rich.
The upside hunters.
And on the other end, you had the aristocracy.
Now, we usually think of aristocrats as bad guys in history.
In this context, they were the safety. They owned the land. They were conservative. They didn't do much. They provided stability. They kept the culture intact.
So you had extreme stability with the aristocrats and extreme risk with the adventurers.
And the combination made the UK a superpower. But what happened?
The middle took over.
The bureaucratic bonus earner emerged. The guy who doesn't take risks, doesn't own the land, but manages the system. He extracts value without adding it. The source argues the UK is now a fragile middle nation.
This connects directly to the 2008 financial crisis and banking regulation. This is a huge part of the text.
It is. And it's the ultimate example of a fake barbell.
Explain that.
Okay, look at a modern bank. It's a hybrid. It has your grandma's savings account, which should be safe, and it has a trading desk that bets on derivatives, which is incredibly risky.
Steak and cake in a blender.
And it's worse, because the government guarantees the savings. So when the bank takes risks on the trading desk, they are gambling with subsidized money.
If they win.
The bankers get huge bonuses. Look how smart we are.
If they lose.
The government, meaning the taxpayer, bails them out. We're too big to fail.
Privatized gains, socialized losses.
It is a toxic mix. It encourages reckless gambling because there is no downside for the banker.
So what is the barbell solution?
You split the bank. You take the utility part, checking, savings, payments, and you make it completely boring. Maybe you even nationalize it. It takes zero risks. It just holds money.
And 90% safety.
And then you have the investment banks or hedge funds. You've let them do whatever they want. They can bet on the weather. They can bet on crypto. But if they lose, they die. No bailouts, no government backstop. If you blow up, you are gone.
So you restore the risk of ruin to the risk takers.
Exactly. You protect the innocent, the depositors, and you let the gamblers face the consequences of their gambling.
Okay.
That is a robust system. The current system is a fragile mess because we tried to blend them.
This is heavy stuff. But it's not just about money and safety. It's also about how we move forward, how we invent things. This brings us to the concept of innovation and teleology.
Teleology. Fancy word.
I feel smarter just saying it.
It basically means thinking in terms of the end goal. It's the belief that you have a destination and you move toward it in a straight line.
The text calls this the teleological fallacy, the illusion that we know where we're going.
We look at successful people like Steve Jobs or Edison, and we write history backwards. We say, oh, they had a vision and they executed the plan.
But in reality,
They were tinkering. They were messing around. They were stumbling into things.
we have two characters to explain this difference, the tourist and the flaneur.
I love the flaneur. It's a French term, literally meaning a stroller or saunterer.
Let's contrast them. The tourist arrives in Paris.
The tourist has a schedule. 9:00 a.m. Eiffel Tower, 10:15 a.m. Louvre, 12:00 p.m. lunch at this specific bistro.
They are locked in.
They are teleological. They have a plan. Now, what happens if the metro breaks down or if the museum is closed?
They panic. The plan is ruined. They are stressed out.
They are fragile. New information hurts them.
Now, the rational flaneur.
The flaneur starts walking. He has a general idea, I'd like to see Paris, but he has no fixed route. He walks down a street. He smells fresh bread. He follows his nose. He sees a used bookshop. He goes in. He meets a local who tells him about a hidden park. He goes there.
He's using optionality.
That is the magic word, optionality. The ability to switch. The option to change course based on new information.
So if the metro breaks down,
The flaneur doesn't care. He wasn't trying to catch a train. He just walked somewhere else. The unexpected event, the volatility, is actually good for him. He finds things the tourist never sees.
and the argument is that great entrepreneurs are flaneurs, not tourists.
Exactly. This connects to the green lumber story. This is a classic trading story mentioned in the notes.
Tell it.
So there's a trader who made a fortune trading green lumber. He was the best in the world at it.
He must have known everything about wood.
You would think. People assume he was an absolute expert in forestry.
Huh.
But one day, someone mentioned that green lumber refers to freshly cut wood that hasn't dried yet. The trader said, oh, really? I thought it meant lumber that was painted green.
No.
Yes. He didn't know the most basic fact about the product, but he knew how to trade. He knew the price action. He had optionality. Meanwhile, the forestry experts who know everything about the biology of trees were losing money.
Because they were tourists, they thought their book knowledge, the plan, dictated reality. The trader was a flaneur. He just reacted to what the market was doing.
This leads directly to the Steve Jobs insight. The tourist approach to business is market research. You ask people, what do you want?
And they tell you, I want a faster horse or I want a phone with a better physical keyboard.
They look at the past. Jobs said, people don't know what they want until you show it to them.
He didn't use focus groups, he tinkered.
He tried things. He relied on trial and error. That is the barbell of innovation. You try lots of crazy things for risk, and you keep what works for safety. You don't try to plan the perfect product from day one.
This brings us to our final application, national cultures. The source compares the US and Japan.
And this is a controversial take, but it fits the model perfectly.
We often hear that American education is failing. Our math scores are lower than Singapore or Japan.
Right. If you look at the middle, the test scores, America looks bad. But the source asks, if the schools are so bad, why does America produce so much innovation? Why Google? Why Apple? Why fracking?
What's the answer?
The answer is that America's superpower isn't its universities. It's its culture of risk-taking and failure.
It's a flaneur nation.
It's a barbell nation. You have people failing constantly. Bankruptcies, startups crashing. But there is no shame.
Fail fast, fail often.
In Japan, according to the text, there is a deep cultural aversion to shame. Failure is unacceptable.
So what happens?
You hide the risk. You don't start the crazy company because you might fail. Or, if you're a big company, you hide your losses, like the nuclear risks or bad debt, just to save face.
You create a fake middle?
And you sit on dynamite. The argument is that America succeeds because it is messy, because it's chaotic. It harnesses the trial and error of millions of people. It has optionality.
So high test scores, the teleology, don't equal high innovation, which requires optionality.
Exactly. Education teaches you the known. Innovation is about the unknown. To navigate the unknown, you need the barbell.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered a lot of ground today. Kidney stones, blended steaks, paranoid pilots, cheating birds, and painted green lumber.
It's a wild ride.
If we had to synthesize this for you listening, what is the one big takeaway?
The takeaway is stop trying to domesticate uncertainty by being moderate. The average is a complete lie.
The average kills you.
It does. The average temperature of a grandmother at a freezer is comfortable. But if you put your head in the freezer and your feet in the oven,
You're dead.
you're dead. Life happens at the extremes.
So build the barbell.
Separate the main course from the dessert. Don't mash them.
In your money, keep 90% bulletproof. Gamble with the 10%.
In your career, keep the day job that pays the rent and do the wild creative work on the side. Don't try to monetize your soul immediately.
In your life, be paranoid about the things that can actually kill you. Wear a helmet, don't smoke. But for everything else, take the risk. Talk to the stranger, start the project.
Embrace the chaos, but wear a seatbelt.
I want to leave you with a final thought, a question to chew on this week. We talked about the BMW and the crash.
The NYC speed limit.
So here is the question. Where in your own life are you driving 250 miles per hour in New York City?
That's a haunting question.
Where are you telling yourself you're being efficient? Maybe you're sleeping 4 hours a night to get a promotion. Maybe you're leveraged to the hilt in real estate, but you are actually just fragile.
Where is your effective speed actually zero because a crash is inevitable?
Are you optimizing for a destination you will never reach because you didn't prioritize survival first?
Remember, to buy the BMW, you first have to survive the road.
Check your brakes, check your path, and stop living in the middle. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.